Hello and welcome to the Home Economics podcast with Cow's Organic Kitchen. I'm Anthony Ellis-Cameron. I'm the director of Cow's Organic Kitchen here with the founder, Carol Fraser. She's a qualified naturopath, a qualified aromatherapist, and a qualified nutritionist. And today we're answering one of the key questions we always get about the Dermazeam Skin Renewing Cream. Will Dermazeam work for me? Carol, I'd love for you to answer that question now for those people who are curious. Is it going to work for them and their particular skin condition?
Well, that's also a good question to answer, which is which particular skin condition. But in terms of will Dermazeam work for me, we're focusing on eczema. And the reason for that is that my daughter suffered badly from childhood with eczema. And having exhausted everything and trying everything for her, with nothing really supporting her long term, and not wanting to stay on a course of steroids for a long time, which was having an effect on the condition of her skin, which was making it thinner and actually darker. I developed Dermazeam, a natural 100% pure organic plant-based cream, which helped to support her symptoms, and my daughter overcame these symptoms. But on saying that, we've had a number of people who have come to me with other conditions. So, for instance, I had a gentleman whose partner actually approached me, and she sent me this picture of her partner's feet. So Anthony, if you can bring up that photograph. So here you can see in the, I don't know if that's close enough for everyone to see, but in the before picture, you can see that there is a level of inflammation there with boils which contain fluid, and in another part of the foot, you can see beneath the boils where it burst and become dry and dark. Now, this gentleman is suffering with cancer, and he was undergoing treatment, and for whatever one reason or another had developed these boils. Whether it was related, I don't know. So having used our eucalyptus Dermazeam, now the eucalyptus Dermazeam has an antifungal element from the eucalyptus, and the lavender, which would soothe the irritation and also helped to fade the marks on his skin, along with the shea butter, and then the coconut oil is antibacterial in nature. This is the picture after, as you can see, and that's just within 2 weeks, where the skin has smoothed out, the boils have gone, the inflammation has gone, the dryness has gone, and the skin has healed over. There's a very faded outline of where the boils were, but completely healed and much better than it was before. I have another case in the next picture where we have a lady who started using the same eucalyptus Dermazeam for her locks. And eucalyptus Dermazeam can be used on the body as well as the scalp. And she was using it on her face. And in the first picture, it may be slightly dark to see, but if you look closely, you can see that the skin is slightly darker in some places of her skin where she's got hyperpigmentation, where the skin is slightly darker. And you can see the lighter patches where it's a bit uneven in skin tone. So you've got the dark patches and the light patches. Now, she told me that in 2 weeks, she started to see a difference, and she caught her reflection in the mirror and thought, wow, there's a difference. And then after a number of weeks, as you can see in the picture afterwards, she has overcome the hyperpigmentation together. Her skin is one even tone. It's brighter in texture. She's glowing, in fact, and her family and friends, particularly her mother, who said, your skin looks amazing and you're glowing. And these were quite unexpected results for her, in fact. But it has been known to get rid of dark marks on the skin using Dermazeam. So if we move on to the next slide, where this is a lady with eczema. Okay, now look at the before picture where you can see the dark marks, where the skin almost looks as if she's been in a fire. It looks like her skin has burnt. So you can see the dark, dry areas. You can see the tightness of the skin where it's slightly wrinkled. You can see the boils, the little pimple boils. It's got a little bit of fluid beneath the skin there. And this is 1 week later in the after picture, as you can see there, where the dark marks have disappeared. There's still a little outline of some of the darkness, but this is after 1 week. So the skin is healing up really rapidly. And that may not be for all. Some may take a bit longer in terms of the healing process, in terms of the symptoms, the inflammation going down, especially the marks can take longer. If you've had them for years, some people may take a bit longer for the marks to fade. So let's go over to the next one. And this lady came to me with sunburn. And you can see in the before picture where her skin's quite red, and it was quite sore, in fact. And she started using Dermazeam. Now, Dermazeam doesn't have the eucalyptus, but it has all the other ingredients that eucalyptus Dermazeam has, which is the coconut oil, shea butter, frankincense, and lavender. And she used this on her skin, and within a week, the after picture shows the results. No more redness, no more soreness, and her skin was completely restored. We're going to move over to the next slide. Now, here's a story about a young boy called Kaleb, 10 years old at the time, and his mother came to me wanting to use Dermazeam for her dry, hard hands. She had very dry hands. Her hands felt quite hard in texture. And he overheard our conversation about the cream and thought to himself, will this work for me? Now, Kaleb had developed ringworm, and it left him with this hypopigmentation on his neck, where the skin became lighter and pinkish in tone. And you can see in the before picture, the skin is darker around the hypopigmentated area. And he would often cover it up and hide it away under, you know, with his shirt collar up when he was playing football. And he'd be a bit embarrassed when he was asked about why, what it was and why it was there. So he decided to use Dermazeam, and there is a video testimony of Kaleb talking about having used Dermazeam and how it worked for him in our videos on YouTube. And we'll put the link in the description so you can see his testimony where he talks about it. And I asked him, how long did it take before you actually saw the results? And he said, started to disappear in 4 to 5 days. And you can see, here's the close-up of the before picture, and then after, where it had completely disappeared. So his skin tone was completely restored. Let's have a look at the last one. I think this is the last one, Anthony. We've got one, we've got, is this the last picture? So here we've got a before and after picture of a young lady from Texas who came to me about hand eczema. As you can see in the before picture, her hand's quite swollen, the dark discoloration on the middle finger into her hand. She was suffering with dryness, soreness, and itching. And she sent me this picture 2 weeks after using Dermazeam. And as you can see, the inflammation has gone and the darkness has gone and her skin tone has been restored. Right, and now we have another picture of a young lady called Zara. And as you can see in the before picture, she has inflammation, redness, and she was very sore and itchy from eczema. Now the second picture is 2 weeks into using Dermazeam. And as you can see, the inflammation and the redness has disappeared, and she says that the itching and soreness had disappeared along with it, and her skin has almost restored completely. So those are some of the cases where Dermazeam has worked for those particular skin conditions. And for Anthony, he was suffering with, he is suffering with folliculitis, and Anthony's been using eucalyptus Dermazeam. Anthony, do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So I might as well start at the beginning. So I started noticing the signs of folliculitis around about the age of 16. I don't know the exact cause, but I suspect it was due to my hairstyle change. So I'd actually decided to have cane rows, so like plaited hair, but my hair was quite short. So at that time, it was quite painful when the hairdresser was actually plaiting my hair. So it put a lot of stress on my scalp. And since then, I have developed boils, itching, dryness, red, inflamed skin, very sensitive, and it was quite painful at times. So I couldn't use the prescribed antibiotics for very long because it was causing me stomach upsets. And so going on this loop of going on the antibiotics, it going away for a little while, but not really, and then coming back quite aggressively, it wasn't working because it was just not sustainable for me to be enduring that whilst also having daily stomach aches. So I also had this topical solution that was prescribed to me by my doctor. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was called Dermal and then a number, something Dermal 100 or something like that. It was a green bottle with a a square thing at the top. I can't remember what the name of it was, but I was using that for several years afterwards. Even though I wasn't taking the antibiotics, I was using that because that was what I was prescribed, and I didn't know what else to choose. So after a while of kind of getting sick of it, I started looking for alternatives to treat my scalp, natural solutions and also home remedies. I even tried some pretty crazy things. I even tried bleach. I bleached my scalp to try and get rid of this thing, and it wasn't working. Actually made my scalp a lot worse. So this is I'm 33 now. I've had this for 18 years, and it wasn't up until maybe about 5 years ago where I was experimenting with putting turmeric and coconut water together and putting that on my scalp as a kind of like, as you would do like a face mask. And then I was sleeping with that on my head for several hours, and I actually noticed that it would go down tremendously overnight. So I was doing that consistently. I was doing that consistently for about 3 months, but it was very messy, and it was very it was a bit of a slog, to be honest, a very laborious activity, because I was having to go into the bathroom, put in this turmeric, be careful not to spill turmeric everywhere because it stains everything. And I was doing that, had to do that every night. And if I didn't do it every night, there was always a risk that it would come back. And around about this time, you were, this is before Dermazeam was on sale, but we were all using Dermazeam, and it had already helped Christina by this point, but I hadn't thought it could help me. I thought, I don't know why. I just thought, oh, it's maybe more of an eczema cream or hyperpigmentation cream, but I was using it kind of cosmetically. So I was using it to just deal with the dryness, and actually relieved the itching quite substantially. So I actually preferred using that to the prescribed cream, and I'd swapped that out early on. But it wasn't until I started using Dermazeam more medicinally, I don't know if that's a word or not, but I would say more methodically. So I thought to myself, you know, if I've been prescribed Dermazeam, would I just be applying it as and when? No, I'd probably be applying it 2 or 3 times a day, and quite intensely, or a lot more intentionally than if I had been applying it cosmetically. So I started applying a lot more generously, and I started applying it up to 3 times a day. Even if my head already felt very moisturized, I would still apply it. And it was then that I started to notice the inflammation coming down. Up until that point, it only really dealt with getting rid of the itchiness and the dryness. But now I was starting to see the redness going away, the dark marks going away, the inflammation, the bumps coming down. And that's when I started to really, really push with the Dermazeam. I was like, this is fantastic, because I don't have to now use the turmeric and the coconut oil, which was a very laborious and tedious task. And, you know, because my case is so severe, this is something that is taking over a year to get rid of. It's not an overnight thing for me, because I hadn't been taking antibiotics, and I'd been using the prescribed cream very, not generously, what's the opposite of that? Scarcely.
Oh, scarcely, sorry.
I've been using it kind of just like casually. So realistically, I'd been neglecting my scalp for several years, you know, the best part of 18 years. So it is taking time. And also, because it's so severe, it's a 360 thing. Yes, the cream is helping to reduce the inflammation from the outside, but it really, my diet is helping a lot. And what I'm consuming on the inside, I'm also having vitamin supplements as well, vitamin D and vitamin A and vitamin B, which is helping as well. So yes, the Dermazeam for folliculitis, I would definitely recommend. And the thing is, everybody's different. It's going to take everybody a different amount of time. For those who have more severe cases, it might take a bit longer. It might take a 360 approach. For those who just get casual hand eczema now and again, the cream might just work for them on its own within a few days or a few weeks. You know, everybody is different, but there are a lot of reasons why you would want to try Dermazeam above some of the other products. It's very simple with the ingredients. There's 4 natural ingredients there, and you can use it as generously as you like, which I think is a major plus.
And also, that just to say, there was another gentleman who used it for folliculitis, and he tried to.
Sorry, you cut out there a little bit. Could you say that again?
Sorry, there's also another gentleman who used eucalyptus dermazeam for folliculitis, and he has left his feedback on the website under the product, so you'll find it in the product reviews. And he said quite quickly, actually, within the 2-week period, that the dryness has subsided and the inflammation and the itching. But we offer a 60-day money-back guarantee, because I understand, having been through this myself with my daughter suffering with eczema and trying a number of products and feeling disappointed a lot of the time, I didn't want to keep investing in things. And that's what drew me to start looking at a natural solution and what these ingredients do and how they could help, and discovering that they did. But I also understand how frustrating it is investing in yet another product and another product. And also, just because it's natural doesn't mean it's going to help everyone. So we want to give that reassurance to everybody who invests in Dermazeam, in any of our range of Dermazeam products, that you get a 60-day money-back guarantee. And that is also to ensure that you have a good use of it to see whether it's actually going to help your symptoms. Because we did have a gentleman with a 3-month-old baby girl who now, at the age of 5 months, has overcome the symptoms of eczema. His baby is now symptom-free, but he did say in the first 2 weeks of using baby Dermazeam, nothing was really happening. But he kept using it, and he was consistent, and he was using it twice a day. And I also encouraged him to use it whenever it was necessary. And now his baby's symptom-free. So, you know, just remember, nothing is going to work in a day, a week, or 2 weeks. In some cases, people have had great results, remarkable results in a 2-week period, but it's not going to be the same for all. And we had a lady who had scarring over 15 years, and it did work quite quickly for her in terms of fading her scars, but in some cases it may take longer. It's not, you've got 60 days to
what were those scars caused by? Do you know?
So the scratching and breaking of the skin. I don't know whether there was any product that may have contributed to it beforehand, but a lot of the time with eczema, with the inflammation, because of the scratching and the breaking the skin gets scarred and discolored. And hers was 15 years of intense itching, inflammation and scarring. And it did work quite quickly for her in terms of the scars fading. And to this date, she's told me that she can barely see the marks on her skin. And that's why, like I said, we give a 60-day period for you to trial it and see for yourselves. And some people it may take a bit longer to see results. Now, you may not as in this gentleman's case with his daughter, see the results or anything happening perhaps in a 2-week period. And this is the one case I'm talking about. Other people have seen it work even overnight in the difference in their skin. But to this gentleman, as I said, it took 2 weeks before he saw anything, but he kept going because you see the ingredients, properties support the symptoms. So they'll be working even if you're not getting the dry skin relief immediately. And recently I had a gentleman called Mohammed Ismail who came to me about eczema on his legs and arms. He said he'd been trying a lot of things. Nothing was really working. It wasn't helping his skin. He was in a lot of pain and had a lot of soreness, and he was very frustrated with the itching, particularly at night. And I spoke to him the other day, and he's told me that his skin is symptom-free. He sent me a picture of his arm, which is completely cleared of all symptoms. But as I said, you've got a good period of time. Remember, the eczema didn't come in a day. So you've got to give it a substantial amount of time for you to see the results.
And can the eczema come back? I think will be a question that a lot of people will be asking, because the question, will it work for me, is a subjective one in some ways, because someone might be asking, will it work to completely get rid of my eczema? So could you address that for our audience, please?
I don't believe that a cream is going to heal you forever. I do believe it's also part of a whether it's contact dermatitis or allergy related or food sensitivity related. And of course, you've got the overactive immune system. And in order to really tackle the root cause is to look at, these possibilities and actually treat the root cause. No one cream is going to give you healing forever. In Christina's case, the symptoms have gone along with following an anti-inflammatory diet. Now, if people don't know, I'm a plant-based nutritionist. What that means is I support people on a vegan diet. And I say vegan because that means elimination of eggs, milk, dairy, and meat and fish, all of which are inflammatory. So by following an anti-inflammatory diet, and there are certain foods which support eczema sufferers in particular, just by going on a fruit and vegetable diet doesn't mean that you're going to be healed, because it may not even be related specifically to food, but there are foods that do cause inflammation anyway, in any case. So cutting out refined is going to help, and increasing your fruit and vegetable intake, but knowing what types of fruits and vegetables are going to be more beneficial for you. For some, it's cutting out tomatoes because of the acidity, citrus fruits perhaps, nightshades, in some cases not. In some cases it may just be dairy, eggs, wheat and gluten. But it's a matter of doing an elimination of what the cause may be, whether that may be food related or environmentally related in terms of dust or animal dander. And some people even say that going away to another climate actually helps their skin. So it could be something that they're exposed to as well.
That's right. And it's important to mention it's not a one size fits all. There will be some cases where it doesn't work for somebody, or there may be cases where somebody's not eating plant-based and they're getting results from the cream, and they don't need to change their diet. So, I mean, some people will be overjoyed to hear that. They say it's easy to
do. Most people who are using Dermazeam, I'd probably say what 95% of people are not following a plant-based anti-inflammatory diet, and they receive great results. But I wouldn't say that's going to be their healing forever and ever.
And those
said to me that they have bought the cream, and if they get a flare, they're going to use it. They'll use it again.
I think also what's interesting is some people who buy the 120 ml Dermazeam most likely are using it for hand eczema or on the face or for smaller areas, and they tend to, one jar seems to be enough for them for a good amount of time, 3, 4, 5 months, if they need to purchase it again at all. So for those people, I've noticed that they tend to need a lot less, whereas people with full body eczema, very severe eczema, have had it for a very long time, where it doesn't tend to flare up. It just seems to be more of a consistent situation. They tend to be ordering the 500 ml, and it will take them longer to start to see those results, as it has done with me. It's taken me about a year to get back to a point where, wow, you're saying my scalp looks nearly healed completely. And I will actually share some before and after pictures soon, because I'm very excited to do that. I actually don't look at the back of my head very often, so I'm interested to see what that looks like as well. But yeah, I think it's just important for people to understand that there is no one size fits all, but we've had some very, very impressive results. So there is no reason why you shouldn't try the Dermazeam with our 60-day money back guarantee, and see for yourself what results you can gain.
And the good thing about it is, you know, you can use this safely. You haven't got to worry about any chemical side effects.
Exactly. You can use it as generously as you like. I mean, I didn't, as I said earlier, I didn't start to see significant, I mean, I'm taking it for granted because it got rid of the dryness and it got rid of the itching, and the itching is a big thing. So even just using it cosmetically got rid of those problems for me. But when I start to see massive, rapid progress is when I start to apply it very generously. Like Dermazeam has, because it has coconut oil and essential oils, it has an oilier, greasier consistency than Velvet, Dermazeam Velvet. And they say that the greasier a cream is, the better it is for things like eczema, because it sits on the skin for longer. So it was, even though my head was feeling moisturized and slightly, or you could feel the oil on it, I was applying it again on top of that. And that's when I started, like overnight, I started to see a massive reduction in the inflammation. So for those severe people who've got it more severe, you can just go all out. You can keep applying it and applying it. If you feel that you're not seeing results as quickly as you like to. But I think we've kind of answered that question. I don't want this to go on too long. So thank you, Carol, for answering. Okay.
So in terms of there's a difference with the oiliness of ointments and the oiliness of Dermazeam. So when you apply it and you're putting it on your skin, it feels like you're putting on an oil moisturizer. But the remarkable thing about it is it doesn't sit on the skin like an oil. It absorbs fairly quickly, but it still leaves your skin feeling smooth and moisturized without you touching something and things becoming, you know, you're leaving oily finger marks on paperwork or surfaces or anything like that. It absorbs into the skin and it stays on the skin. It continues to moisturize the skin throughout the whole day. People have found that they haven't had to keep applying it, but those that do, they keep applying it for as long as they need it, and then the moisturization kicks in for those really severe cases. But it doesn't sit on the skin oily, slick residue like the ointments. It does absorb into the skin and leaves your skin moisturized without it feeling greasy.
Yeah, and you can customize it to your own personal taste based on the amount that you apply to your finger. Because the reason why my head was oily is because I'm applying like a significant amount to my head, because I'm using it more medicinally than I am using it cosmetically. So I'm trying to make it as oily as possible. But to be honest, I applied some earlier after my shower, and I just put a little bit on, and I need to reapply now because I feel like I could do with a little bit more, but it is still moisturized. If I was going out, I could go out like this, but I like it quite heavy and thick because I can feel it going. I feel it going to work. So it really is down to you and your particular preference. You can just, like I said, I was using it cosmetically before just to deal with the dryness, and really I was just putting a tiny amount on my finger, and it wouldn't be greasy or oily at all. So the shea butter in particular is very famous for enriching the layers of skin below the top layer. So I think that's what a really good aspect of it is. You've got those essential oils, whereas if you're applying them on their own, you may not be able to penetrate the layers as well. I don't know, you're the expert on this, but the shea butter, I think, carries those oils to enrich the layers below.
Well, the shea butter certainly acts as a protective barrier on the skin, you know, so you've got a natural emollient, where with things like petroleum jelly, it sits on the skin and it acts like a sort of, if you can imagine, cling film wrap on the skin. So it's just there, whereas it's actually working to penetrate the skin and moisturize the skin, as well as provide protective barrier without making the skin feel overly greasy.
Absolutely. And I think you've answered the question now. I think we've covered all the talking points, unless there's anything you would like to add before we go.
If anybody has any further questions out there, please do submit your questions in the comments, and we'll endeavour to create another podcast to answer your questions. And thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening, everyone. We will see you in the next one.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.